Do artists really have to starve to be true to their craft? Must the business side of creativity drain all inspiration? No, it does not. 5 minutes on creative entrepreneurship can help you master the business side of creativity, reap greater rewards from your talent, and enjoy your work to the fullest.
I'm so glad trouble don't last always.
Could anything be more boring to a creative professional than administration? The word alone elicits images of stacks of paperwork, regulatory forms, and bureaucratic mazes. And yet, if you're going to be in business, you have to face some administrative realities. You have to deal with external administrative issues like forming an LLC, filing taxes, and maybe submitting property tax reports to your county, as well as internal administrative tasks like keeping track of your client contact information, online account passwords, and signing contracts with clients. Not only can managing these kinds of details be confusing, but as creatives, we tend to revolt at administrative minutia in general. But if we ignore these tasks, they don't go away. They just become harder to deal with. I'm Eric Holter, and I've been a serial creative entrepreneur for over 3 decades. After graduating from Rhode Island School of Design in 1991, I could cut and print beautiful wood engravings. But I had no idea how to run a business. They just don't teach enough about business in art school. After I hired my first employee, I tried to process payroll on my own. It took hours and hours of deciphering rules and formulas, and then even more time to fill out and submit the necessary forms. And in the end, it turned out that I made a minor calculation mistake. Not only did I have to pay the difference, which amounted to just a few cents, but I had to pay a penalty on top of it. And of course, properly submitting the paperwork for paying the amount due and the penalty was just as cumbersome as submitting the original payroll in the first place. It wasn't long before I figured out that paying a payroll company was absolutely worth every dollar. But it's not just payroll we need to deal with. There's taxes, filing annual reports for your LLC, and if you have employees and manage a health plan, don't get me started on health plans. The administrative role that's part of your creative practice can't be avoided. You can hire help like a payroll service, but in other things, especially your internal administrative tasks like managing your schedule, answering emails, paying your bills, and so forth, they're on you. When you break down all the administrative tasks you need to handle, none of them on their own is all that complicated. Well, maybe except for taxes, but you can hire an accountant for that. The real challenge for the creative professional is not the complexity of any particular task, it's keeping up with them all, or overcoming the intense desire to avoid them altogether. When it comes to the subject of management and administrative details, the core skills you need to cultivate are organization and self-discipline. Unfortunately, most creatives lack these inclinations. We prefer getting lost in the creative process, and nothing kills that process more than insurance forms. But if you're going to be a creative professional, if you're going to be entrepreneurial with your creativity, you're going to have to cultivate these disciplines. Not that it'll be easy, but you have to adapt and embrace these tasks. And part of these disciplines is adopting some form of routine and schedule. Because when it comes to administrative tasks, the longer you delay, the bigger the pile gets, and the more difficult it becomes to clear it. For example, the administrative task of updating your books and billings absolutely needs to be done on a consistent weekly basis. We'll talk more about that task when we return to the subject of money. If you keep up with your administrative tasks, spending a little time each morning taking care of a few emails and closing the end of each day, mopping up a few more, it's not that hard to stay on top of things. The ability to accept and adapt to administrative disciplines is a core indicator of whether a creative is cut out to become a creative entrepreneur. In the resources section of my website, you'll find a freelance suitability survey that asks some questions that can help confirm whether or not you're cut out to run a creative business. You may want to take that and soberly reflect on what it takes to run a business. Next week, we'll consider the client service role of running your practice. And so until then, Don't let the business of creativity overwhelm your creative business.
5 Minutes on Creative Entrepreneurship is a podcast by Eric Holter, mentor to creative entrepreneurs. You can find more content and resources at erichholter.com. His book, Blazing the Freelance Trail, is available on Amazon in print, Kindle, and audio. If this podcast is helpful to you, be sure to share it with your colleagues, and ratings and reviews are always appreciated.
I'm so glad trouble don't last